People versus Richard Allen Bass, 2244 FC.
Yeah, Your Honor, Amy Rise on behalf of the people.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the case has been called. Attorneys have placed their appearances on the record. My understanding is that you've reached a verdict. Is that correct? Okay.
That is correct.
I'll look at it first and then I'll give it back to you to read. Foreman, if you would read the verdict form for me.
FC versus Richard Allen Bass, defendant. We, the jury, find the defendant as follows. Guilty of first-degree criminal sexual assault. Defendant under 13 and 17 years of age.
Thank you. You may be seated, Mr. Foreman. Okay, so we will schedule a sentencing in this matter. Jurors, thank you for your service. You are excused. Sometimes juries want to ask questions of the judge after the proceeding. We have another verdict to take in the other case, so I'll be available to do that.
Right, what if- call another one?
Sure.
Numbers 2 and 3, People versus Richard Allen Bass, 2244 FC, 2229 F8.
Good afternoon, Robert J. Kilwald, Your Honor. I'm on case 2244.
And Torshall speaks to assistant public defender on the other case, Your Honor.
Richard, would you state your name for the record?
Richard Allen.
Richard?
Allen Bass, can you hear us?
Yeah, I said Richard Allen.
Okay. All right, today's date and time set for sentencing on both cases in this matter. I will, go ahead, Ms. Reiser, I'm sorry.
Amy Rise on behalf of the people.
Okay. Procedurally, just want to put something on the record. My understanding is Mr. Allen Bass believes that he's filed motions.
Judge, if I can enlighten the court, when I went to see him Sunday to discuss the pre-sentence report, Richard handed me a 10-page document. It was a lengthy motion for an acquittal, for a new trial, and a Ginther hearing, basically saying I was ineffective at counsel. And this is the co-defendant to the Patricia McDaniel matter. The last page of it said that he looked like he was asking the court clerk to file those motions for him. I don't think anything was ever filed. So I'm not sure how the court wants to handle that.
Well, I think that's correct, actually. So let me just say for your client's benefit, Mr. Allen Bass, I understand that there were a series of motions that were prepared having to do with kind of follow up to the trial in this matter. Mr. Kilwald just referenced a couple of them, ineffective assistance of counsel, seeking a hearing on that, among other things. What didn't happen, though, is that they were never filed. So they're not before me today. We're not going to argue them today. You have a lawyer until today. If you need to file motions afterwards, you can either seek a court-appointed attorney. I don't know if Kilwald is still, there are options for you, but what's not happening today is that those motions haven't been filed. So I'm not going to hear them today. Okay?
I filed those motions a while ago. I sent them to you, the clerk's office, and the prosecutor.
Right. So I don't know, we get into this situation sometimes. So as it stands today, Mr. Kilwald is still your lawyer. So even if you had filed motions on your own, I would have rejected them because Mr. Kilwald is your lawyer and he's the only one that can do that for you while he's your lawyer. So the fact is, not only did that not happen, but actually they were actually never filed. So I don't know about them. I haven't read them. They weren't put in the court file. They were not prepared. They were not filed. So it's not even an option for me to consider them. So today's the date and time set for sentencing in this matter. And
Okay,
that's
I still want to put in my Ginther. I want a Ginther hearing, and I also want a new trial. I want that to be set on record.
Okay, but you have all of those options. I'm not saying you can't file them.
I
I'm just
just
saying
want, okay,
Okay.
I just want to
you
say it
can
on record.
appeal. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen.
Okay, I just want to say it on.
I'm gonna go ahead, okay?
I just want to say it on record.
Okay. All right.
Richard, you want to be sentenced by Zoom today?
I'm fine with that. Do you think?
Okay. And Judge, just not to I'm sorry, not to belabor the situation, but I mean, asking for a Ginther hearing and being ineffective counsel, I tried to explain to Mr. Bass, and again, I'm his attorney advocating on his behalf, but I think those are appellate issues he can certainly raise. I took advice to rights to the jail last night, and I'm assuming Richard got it. But as to sentencing, we're ready to go.
Okay. So again, you have the right, obviously, to appeal this. Some of the motions that were referenced are able to be filed as, post judgment. So you are not, in fact, losing out on anything there. So that's all possible. All right.
Your Honor, I would echo the same argument Mr. Goldstein made as far as, first of all, I did drop off the pre-sentence report to Richard, and we discussed a few things Sunday. Quite frankly, the only objection he had, Your Honor, other than the one Mr. Goldstein made about, there's a lot of paragraphs regarding the third co-defendant in this matter, Robert Whitsett, that I would argue, and I know Your Honor's made a ruling, but I would still, just for the record, argue that they shouldn't be in Richard Allen Bass's pre-sentence report. But the one paragraph that I did, and I discussed with Ms. Reiser, is the fourth paragraph on page 3 under the agent's description of the offense. If at the end of that paragraph, Your Honor, if you would put a comma and just write regarding Robert Whitsett, that's $17 asking a little girl to pay for sex was never attributed to my client. And
I want to get this right. So this is 4.
I have it on page 3 of the agent's description of offense.
Right. So
The fourth paragraph down, where it talks about $17 for the use of her body.
gotcha.
If you would put a comma, and Ms. Reiser's agreed to this, it says that was regarding Robert Whitsett, those discussions.
So let me just confirm, Ms. Reiser. So you're okay if I literally used during the incident, comma? Is that what you're saying, or are we inserting?
So I
don't care how we edit this, but I'm just saying, like,
It's
you're
accurate. The way that the investigation went is that the minor child was forensically interviewed and made a disclosure about Richie Rich. After that forensic interview, that when they went to go to court and she sees her mother, she's going to ask for her $17 that she owes her regarding her body being used during the incident, comma, regarding a second suspect later identified as Robert Whitsett, is what it should read. And then on the 8/4/2021, the victim was brought in for a second forensic interview regarding Rob. And then that paragraph does go on to explain the matter. So it was just read.
So I amended it to say, comma, regarding second suspect with.
Later identified as Robert.
That would be appropriate, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr.
Your Honor, I tried to discuss this pre-sentence report with Richard. We didn't get too far on it because he wanted to deal with his motions. But Richard, do you have see any other additions or corrections to be made in this report?
Well, to be honest, the whole report is a laugh. It's a joke for the simple fact that whatever y'all got me in here on, as far as being arrested on, the defendant, the young lady denied all of this at trial and came up with a whole new story. So I'm not even understanding, what are you guys trying to charge me with when both stories are two different stories? She denied ever saying anything in the police report. So you're trying to sentence me to 25 years on a new story.
Mr. Allen Bass.
doesn't make
Richard, I was asking if you saw any corrections.
But it does.
You have a chance to address me,
The
but
whole
go ahead with any
the whole
correction.
thing makes no sense. It's two different stories. What are you talking about? Y'all have there's nothing linking me to this case, yet you want to sentence me to 25 years. I have 3 kids at home. This is absurd. You can't, you have sat in court and I came up with one thing that links me to this case. And then the young lady came with a whole new case, and you're gonna use a new case instead of what the police report said to sentence me to 25 years. That's wrong, and you lynching me. And it don't make no sense. This 2023, you lynching me as if it was 1923, and it don't make no sense.
Your Honor, I don't have any other additions or corrections either with the guidelines either.
Riser, do you have any other additions, corrections?
Hurry up and get the damn shit over with, man. Come on.
Richard,
No, Your Honor, I don't have any,
Fuck that. Hurry up.
additions,
Come on, man.
corrections that the guidelines are properly scored.
Make no
and
damn
the,
sense.
Sentence in this case is appropriate. We would ask that you sentence the defendant to 25 years to 50 years in the Department of Corrections where he belongs.
And for what?
I'm actually considering exceeding that, and I may adjourn this. So we're going to adjourn.
Judge,
Do what you do. Have a good day.
if I get,
Okay. I'm back here next week. I'm not sure that I'm going to maintain the recommend.
Our school judge.
Yes.
Sorry, I think the victim may have logged in, but I'll just tell her.
And I just want to go on record that although I recognize that the victim may have logged on, and I would invite the victim to log on again next week, I'm not expecting a statement. I don't think she needs to make one. If she wishes to make one, we can accommodate that. I don't want to make this in any way more difficult for her, but I'm not comfortable proceeding today on the recommended sentence based on the statements by the defendant. So I'm going to think about that for a week. And if the victim wishes to participate, I'll accommodate that. Okay.
And just so the record clear, the defendant left the Zoom screen, like he left for the sentencing.
That is
Transcript of it.
okay. And I would acknowledge that that is an accurate statement. Okay.